What's the worst moment you've ever had on stage?
Download.
That was a quick answer.
Yeah, because I've answered this question before.
Yeah.
I did Download quite early on in my career, and I didn't really. I'd sold t-shirts. I didn't realise. Like I didn't dress accordingly. I was in like a Ralph polo and a pair of Nike Maxes.
And the crowd took.
Yeah, fuck, man. I went out and my arse just went, and the booing even now makes me feel sick. Like
they booed.
What? So
I could have taken just the booing.
Oh my God!
They were booing, shouting, and then a bottle of piss hit me, and it was like, genuinely speaking, like, what the fuck is this?
So you Murder Successful, that's up and running.
Yeah.
Are you still doing stand up at this point? What was it? Is this about 10 years ago now? Is it?
Yeah, I was still doing bits of stand up, but stand up was a really weird one for me at this time because I was in I started falling out of love with like stand up because I number one, like I felt pressure every time I went, which I'd never felt before, as I said, like, because I sort of always been used to not being very good at things and being like a bit of a loser, so to speak. All of a sudden there was like, you do a gig and there'd be people coming to watch you, and I really felt that pressure and I felt that anxiety. And then alongside that, I was being told by people around me to change certain elements of who I was on stage and not necessarily be the person I am. And then that makes you question your own, you know,
are these other comedians?
No. So like sort of management and and I can kind of see that they were trying, and I think it was almost like a awful sort of scenario because I was questioning stuff about myself, and then they were bringing in like these other sort of other questions, and before you know it, like, I literally would like. I'd like do gigs and I wouldn't eat like fucking the day, like for like 24 hours. I was so nervous of failing and it just falling to shit. And I'd never worried about that before. And it literally was just like destroying my my mindset. And like Murder and Successful had come along and been good, and we were doing a second series, and there was another few things happening with acting, and I'd sort of I guess I'd just almost like I fell out of love of doing the freedom. The best thing about stand up, and I was I know, like you have Russell Howard. I was listening to Russell talk the other day, and it is that freedom of being able to be the only person. Like you're everything, right? You go out, you make the show. It's how you want it to be. Some people are going to like you. You're aware that not everyone's going to like what you're doing, but it's down to you, and you've got full sign off of what it is. That didn't feel like it was happening anymore. It felt like, oh shit, like there's more people involved in making that show and making those choices. And I just questioned whether I was good enough.
Right,
and sort of just went, I'm just fuck this. I don't want to do it anymore.
So, but you've been back touring, haven't you? What was your most recent tour called?
Underdog.
That's the one. Yeah. So how do you feel you're at now in your stand-up comedy career as opposed to then? Like your presence on your character on stage, like
just what you see today.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing. That was so. I started a podcast with Rom. And like Ramesh is like one of my longest mates within this industry, and. He'd always been very like about, I'd actually supported him a little bit before COVID, and like he was sort of face to face with my anxiety. We were doing a gig and he was doing like a warm up for his tour, and we were in this dressing room. I had to like an open in 10 minutes, and like the amount of fucking anxiety and pressure, I was terrified of it going badly. So he was just like,
is it because you didn't want to let him down, or you
didn't want to let him down? I didn't want to let myself down. I didn't want to fucking make an absolute prick out myself. It was just like, and like, I look it back now, I feel so ashamed because, and he, it's a testament to what a nice man he is. But I'm like, I was just like, oh my God, what if this doesn't work? And he was like, and he had to go and do his whole tour show. And his support act, who's there, as the word say, support act, is literally dragging him into this fucking anxious fucking mess of self-doubt.
That's exactly what I did with Max Fosh.
Yeah.
I did 5 minutes at the start, he had an hour, and I was going, I can't fucking do it.
I know. I was literally, and weirdly it went all right. But then, like, amazingly, like his agent Flo is like, who's now like, who I've known for a long time. She was then like, sort of, and we did a few Wolf an Hour lives, and then they went well, and she was nudging away really at like, you just give it a try. And she like, I wouldn't. If it wasn't for Ramesh and Flo, I probably never would have come back and done stand-up.
Oh, really?
Like, literally speaking, like, yeah. I'd owe them all that. And now I look at it as like, and her thing to me was always just go and be yourself. Like, just be you. Just go out and talk like you're talking to your mates in a pub and have a bit of a laugh. And that's what the act is now. And I feel like it's the thing I probably now look at and go, I fucking love doing this.
Yeah.
I enjoy it so much. The feeling of being out on stage and feeling yourself. And it's the sort of thing when I started and got such a like, you know, that rewarding experience of just being on and it feeling like, you know, you make these things, you make podcasts, you make TV shows, you make films, you're very blessed to do all that. But actually being in a room with people you're making laugh face to face is nothing that can beat that. That's amazing.
What's it like being a support act compared to doing like your own show? Because when you go to do your own, people have paid to see you specifically.
Soul destroying at times. I feel like I don't know. So I've had support acts, being a support act. Like as a support act, I always felt like you want to put on the best possible version of yourself. Principally because, you know, the Romesh one was slightly different. I'd done it years before, but principally because you wanted to, you know, you want to give a good account of yourself, but also you want everyone there to have a good night. I think it's so hard to be a support act. I think like when you go and you clearly that is fucking tough because for the most part, people aren't there to see you. People want to see whoever they bought tickets to go and watch. So you're kind of up against it anyway. As soon as you step on stage, you're sort of like, people are like, well, we've not paid for this person, so you better be good. You can almost see the audience feeling like that.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's tough, man. It's really tough. And that's nothing, again, it's like the audience you can't blame for. Like, you know, sometimes you get DMs or like someone on X will message you going, is there a support act? Do I have to turn up just to watch someone else? What time are you on stage? You underlined. And you're like, yeah. But then, you know, I was like, Dinesh, Romesh's brother, was amazing, and Fatih Al Ghori, and Fatih is like fucking incredible. And, you know, and then like now all of a sudden you see people getting into that support act. And I think it can be an amazing thing if you get the right, you know, you do well.
What's the worst moment you've ever had on stage?
Download.
That was a quick answer.
Yeah, because I've answered this question before.
Yeah.
I did Download quite early on in my career, and I didn't really. I'd sold t-shirts. I didn't realise. Like I didn't dress accordingly. I was in like a Ralph Polo and a pair of Nike Air Maxes.
And the crowd took.
Yeah, fuck man.
What is Download music?
It's like heavy metal.
Heavy metal. Okay.
So my mate Mark goes.
Yeah.
So that'll tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've sold t-shirt. I didn't realise quite what a ricker it was, and I went on stage and.
What do you think it was? Just a like a.
I thought it was a stand-up.
Like Reddit.
I didn't think it. Like Reddit. I didn't think it was as. Like, I didn't think people would be quite as insulted by me walking on stage looking at what I did, dressed the way I did. And I also, in the defense of the crowd, it was the first year they'd done a sort of, one of the first year in like this stand-up tent that had basically been like a dance tent. So we went on stage at about 8 o'clock and they stopped the music, right? And someone went, right, they had a compere who's a brilliant act, Phil Nicol, I think it was, who's incredible. Brilliant stand-up. He goes out, he does his bit, and I'm going on sort of like early.
Did he do well?
He smashed it because he was fucking brilliant. If you ever get a chance to see him, he's a fucking amazing stand-up. I wasn't at the time. I was very quite new.
And he was wearing a Slipknot t-shirt.
Yeah. But if you'd just done that, I reckon I'd have had because I weighed 24 stone. If I were going out 24 stone in a Slipknot t-shirt, they'd have carried me out on their fucking shoulders. Very different. I went out and my arse just went, and the booing even now makes me feel sick. Like
they booed.
What? So
I could have taken just the booing.
Oh my god!
They were booing, shouting, and then a bottle of piss hit me, and it was like, genuinely speaking, like, what the fuck is this? Then you're still trying to battle through, and I can't remember the guy. It's really annoying. The guy who ran the gig. I'm looking at him going, how long do I have to do till I come off? And he was like, you've got, he's like, and then you get paid type thing. So I had to stand there for 20 minutes stinking of piss with people just booing. Like, and then there's a guy called Jason Rouse who was like the king of metal comedians. He's sort of like really fucking like pushes the fucking envelope. He's sort of like quite a controversial figure. But he then walks into the fucking tent because he's just going to the back, and they all start cheering. They start cheering. I think, I've practiced. I'm getting somewhere. What was that? Oh, they like the bit of my dog sleeping. Bit more dog stuff. Then I clock that he's walking through, and they're all fucking like cheering at him. And then he gets to the back of the stage, and sort of like they let him through, and then they start booing again. And I remember going back, like I was meant to be there for 3 nights, and I went back to the hotel, like Holiday Inn. There was a KFC just near And I went and got like 6 cans of Stella and I like the KFC and just sat in my fucking hotel room just crying to myself. It was a really low moment. You're like, fuck, is this like, and because it is like, because also let me say, by the way, like someone like Phil Nichol, like the other people who aren't like Jason Rouse, I can't remember the other people who aren't like, Sands of Time of, and also, PTSD have let me fucking try and forget it. But I was watching the other acts crush it.
Yeah.
And I hadn't. It was like a real, like, oh, fuck, like, I haven't got this thing sorted yet. And when you talk about support or whatever, like, but that is, like, in the time that I've done this, you've seen, those are the moments where you see really good people and you go, oh, fuck, that person's not doing it anymore. And it's because it's fucking hard, man.
Yeah.
Like, when you talk about, all joking aside, when I was doing scaffolding, you're on a big building and you're like fucking like there's literally you can fall off the side of it and you're dead. That's nowhere near as fucking terrifying as the moment stand-up goes badly. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's fucking horrible.
That's what always fascinates me. And we are lucky enough to speak to comics, like how they get through them shit ones.
Well, us doing Kendall Calling was probably our worst.
What happened?
We went on after Dick and Dom and they'd just blown the roof.
They did like a full DJ set, everyone's
Really?
buzzing.
And then they do that now. They do a DJ. They do like drum and bass, like,
and
DJ
their tent was packed too much. Like people were trying to get in, they couldn't
get in there. And then we went on, and I'd had no sleep from the night before, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing stars.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you're after Dick and Dom.
And then and then I was like, we'll wing it. We'll just come up with something.
Because they wanted us to just do a podcast, and we were like, well, how do we plan?
Your podcast isn't that much different from our podcast. It's a fucking energy change. Like, unless you're there to watch a So talking about gigs, like, and keeping with what you're talking, me and Ron did one. There was this podcast festival.
Is this Wolf and Owl thing?
Yeah, we did Wolf and Owl. We did it in Sheffield. There was a podcast festival, and it charged almost double what we charged for our tour shows or Wolf and Owl. It wasn't us hosting our event.
Yeah,
we'd been sort of like hired to go in and do it, and it was evident quite quickly that most of the people there didn't know what to expect and didn't listen to the podcast, which is just 2 fucking 40-something men just chatting shit. And they were like the trolling we got afterwards, and like I was like, what the fuck were you? Because you're doing what you guys, you got to do what's indicative of the fucking podcast.
Yeah.
People who listen to it. Yeah. You assume that, like,
you just got to assume that the people there know it and get it.
When you're on stage and you're just chatting shit, which is what our podcast. We don't even have the luxury of someone to interview. We're just chatting shit, and people are going, "What the fucking hell's this? What the fucking hell? I'm not even telling fucking jokes. What the fuck are these? Tell a joke we know." It was like shit, getting heckled. It was fucking awful. And me and Ron both got out there. We couldn't even look at each other. It's like, when you've had like a one night stand and bad sex. It's like we're just going, oh God, like, get us out of here. Like, got both, made our way home. We just started texting each other, going, I feel sick. Is that the end? Is that the end of the podcast? Yeah. Fucking awful. Like, because you can't all of a sudden go, all right, I'm going to do some stand-up. Let's bring out a guest. Sean Bean, everyone. It's like, that's what a podcast is.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.